ahead and get this recorded as well. So this will be recorded and we will be posting this and sending this out. So just so everyone knows. Just a quick little note about Success North Dallas Young Executives. We are a branch of Success North Dallas. Just kind of the contingency plan for Success North Dallas is we're younger folks. That's a very broad term. It's more like young at heart. Coming up, and we, are networking focused. We we have monthly events where we get together and do lunch and learns like this. We do happy hours. The main point of our group is getting connected and networking and learning what we can from one another and growing ourselves as professionals. So if you enjoy today's event, first off, go connect with Kim, but also, continue to come to our events and sign up, become a member, and get full access to all of the different things that we do and run. So just passing it over, I wanted to talk about the wonderful Kim Zoller. She is the CEO and founder of ID 360, which has now been going over 30 years now. So Kim's main goal is about, the growth and learning of you as an individual. That is her passion, is teaching people those leadership skills and the holistic approach of that, how to be mindful, how to, focus inward, making yourself a more outward professional, right? So very excited, and we've known Kim for a very long time. She's actually a high profile alum, where me and Bronwyn and Kirsten and Madison, we have a couple of folks from high profile on here. So very, very grateful and just appreciative of her. And I'm going to pass it over to her because we have a lot to go over and really, really excited. So thank you and welcome, Kim.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone, for coming today. And I'm going to ask everyone to write in the chat right now, where were you born? Where were you born? Okay, Dallas, New Orleans, Amarillo, Seattle, Minnesota, Mount Pleasant. Okay, very nice. So from all over, and here we are. So I want you also to just take a minute, and I would like you to write in the chat one word that describes how you're feeling right now. One word that describes how you're feeling right now. Okay, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, I want you now to write one word that if I said to you, what is your brand? What is your brand? One word that describes you. I want you to write that down right now, please. Okay. All right. Very, very good. So encourager, reliable, consultative, responsible, builder. I'm curious to know this. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the absolute, like came to you in a second, and 1 being like, oh my gosh, I have no clue. How quickly did that word come to you when I said, what's your brand? How quickly did that word just come to you? Like you knew right off the bat. Okay. All right. 7s, 9s, 1s, 8s, 5s. All right. Perfect. 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 Okay. So here we are getting started talking about our mindful brand, So the first thing, if you that I want us to do is just take a moment as I'm going to share my screen in a second. I want you guys to just close your eyes for just a moment, please. And I just want you to be in this place right here, right now, knowing that you have basically the next 50 minutes to just focus on yourself. And in that 15 minutes, if you focus on yourself, knowing that your outcome is going to be so much stronger, that this is going to be time well spent for you. That if you are here now and not inundated by your phone and messages and being pulled from one direction to another, you will actually be able to think about and be mindful of your career. Be mindful of where you are, be mindful of where you're going. So just take a minute, a moment to breathe and feel your breath and be in this space right here, right now. And open your eyes if you would. And I want to talk about, as we get into this, that the majority of people are really running around. I'm sharing my screen here. Really running around and not being mindful of where they are, but just going through the days on the treadmill. And I'm curious to know, like at the end of your week, how many of you do feel on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like 100% absolutely, and 1 being, no, Kim, I don't agree with this at all. How many of you do feel like, yeah, you know what, I end my weeks and I can't really assess like where I am and if I am tracking to who I am and that I was totally myself this entire week. Like I felt like I represented who I want to be, who I wanted to be. So 10 being like you are so on track, and 1 being, no, I really didn't think about it because all I had to do was go from thing to thing to thing to thing, and it's now Friday. So if you would take a minute and just see where you write down where you are, I would love that. Okay. All right, perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for your honesty in writing this. So when we think about building a mindful brand, what I really encourage everyone to do is that we are scattered and you are going to have your phone ringing and you're going to have things that you're doing right now and your emails are coming in. And so I want to encourage you to take this time to turn everything off and be here now. Because if you are, there will be something that you will be able to learn from this. You know, I'm reading and listening to this amazing book. And in fact, we have a session next week through our growth club all about the science of change and how we change and creating habits. And it's so interesting because this session today is completely about that. It's not only thinking about our brand and who we are and who we authentically are, it's also knowing that if I want to exhibit my brand on a day in and day out basis, that it takes practice and practice and practice, almost like drilling, like a boot camp over and over and over for something to become a habit. And so at the end of the session, I really want us and want you guys to think about, how do I create a career by total design, not by accident? That you really take the time to think about, wait, what does my week look like? And who am I? And am I showing up that way? And how am I leading people? And what does that mean? And it's not a title. It's how am I getting people to gather around me and to follow me and be excited by what I have to say. And there's, as I said, there are so many competing circumstances that, and so many competing things that are coming in. So how are we really sending our message? So Kirsten, if you'll plug in the handout again, that would be awesome. Just for those who just joined, there's a handout for you. Thank you so much. And so as we go through today, what I want you guys to do, and I really encourage everyone to do, is that if you have a question, please interrupt me, unmute, put your hand up. I'm keeping the chat open. So anything and everything that you have, please, please, please let me know. So what are we doing here today? For the next 50 or so minutes, we are thinking about aligning our mind, our behavior, our brand, and our goals. So that if we don't have that aligned, then we are on a treadmill. Building a strong personal brand, and whether you've been in business 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, as Shelby said, I have been doing this business for 30 years, and before that, was so lucky enough to have worked at High Profile with Bronwyn as my boss, who really gave me a foundation of like what this was all about and how this could really play out in my own life. So that's really, really important to think about. How do I do that? How do I build it? Increase credibility and perceived value. And so we say, well, why is it perception? Well, it's all perception. It's like every time we go shopping, every time we do anything, every time we're sitting in a meeting listening to someone, there are people that we listen to no matter what, because we perceive them to know what they're talking about. And there are others who we don't listen to at all, because our perception of them is not one that, that we would respect or like. And then ultimately, my goal for all of us today is to leave here with an action plan of what behaviors we need to stop, what we need to start, what we need to continue to really build and be our strongest and authentic brand. And also know that we're on track, because even for those of us who have been working for many, many years, we could have a brand, it just may not be helping us reach our goals. And at some point we have to sit back and say, well, wait a minute, what am I hearing that is actually someone's trying to give me a hint about what I'm doing that is right, and what am I doing that is actually not serving me? So when we look at where you are in your careers, and we look at interpersonal skills versus technical skills, and we look at how good you are at what you do versus how you are building relationships, I am curious, and if you want, you can unmute, and otherwise you can write this in the chat. I am curious, on a teeter-totter of 100%, how, when you think about your success, how much of your success is based on technical skills? We'll start with technical skills versus your interpersonal skills. So I'm curious to know what you guys think. Percentage wise, write it in the chat or unmute. What do you guys think? Where interpersonal skills versus your technical skills? So 10, 90, okay. Good. 70, 30.
Interpersonal.
Wait, someone was going to say something. 60, 40. Say that again.
Interpersonal would definitely be higher on the list than technical.
Okay. And now, is it Ollie? Ollie.
I think he might be talking about
me. Okay. All right. So Madison, I'm curious. 70%. But did you mean 70% interpersonal or 70% technical?
Interpersonal for sure.
Okay. Good. I was just curious. Kent, what about you? 60, 40, 60 interpersonal or 60 technical?
Interpersonal.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I was reading that correctly. Okay, very good. So this is so interesting. When we look at this, and we look at studies that are based in neuroscience, based in emotional intelligence, based in overall success. This is just one study, and then I'll share another study with you. Carnegie Institute did a study. They said that 85% of our success is due to our interpersonal skills. 15% is due to our technical skills. What does that mean? It means that no matter how good I am at what I do, if I cannot communicate it, if I don't gather people around me, if I don't build relationships, no one cares. No one is listening. And leadership, in a very interesting study on top of this that was done by Oscar and Yabero, says that when we study warmth, when we study leadership overall, we know that over 60 to 80% of why people follow, the leaders they follow, have everything to do with the warmth that they feel about that person, the interest about that person versus how good they are in what they do and their job. So we know from so many studies, there's another study that Daniel Goleman did on emotional intelligence that really says our IQ is 20% of our success, and our EQ, our emotional intelligence, is 80% of our success. So what does that tell us? What do we do with that? Because knowledge is just one piece. I'm curious if you guys have heard the saying that knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Yes? No? Yes? A thumbs up if you've heard knowledge is power. Yes? Okay. Well, I'm curious to know, do you believe that or do you not believe that? Do you believe that or not believe that?
I think it depends on where we put our knowledge.
Yeah, it does. Terrace, tell me more. Tell me more.
Well, if we're putting our knowledge and we're utilizing our EQ more, and being able to apply the knowledge that we're learning there into our life, then it's going to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to add something to that. The knowledge is not power. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is table stakes. Okay. So I love that, Jeff. And I don't know if you go by Jeff or Jeffrey. I have a 10. You go by Jeff. Okay. No, I see there are two Jeffs. Jeff, Jeffrey Brewster, do you go by Jeff or Jeffrey?
I go by Jeffrey, but you can call me Jeff. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Okay. I might, I have a tendency to have nicknames for people, so I might end up calling you Jeffy because by the end of it, we might be best friends. I mean, it's a whole thing with me. Anyway, so everyone's got a nickname. Okay, so you're right. Okay, so it's table stakes. That is one piece of it. So here's really something to think about. Knowledge is not power. Execution is power. Execution is power. And at the end of this, I really want you to think about, what am I going to do that I am going to do every day religiously until it becomes my mantra, it becomes my habit, to make sure that I am reaching my goals and I am truly living an authentic brand. And so when we look at all these studies, really what it starts with, number one, every single thing is growth mindset. So I'm curious, thumbs up, who has studied mindset, who knows what growth mindset is, who does not know what growth mindset is? Yes or no in the chat. Yes or no in the chat, please. Okay. All right. So here's the deal. After this, I'm going to send you some resources on growth mindset. And Shelby will send that out. I want you guys to become so familiar with growth mindset. That what is it? So growth mindset, let me just give you a teeny bit of background, and then I'll focus on where it's important for us today. So growth mindset was a term, or is a term, that was coined by a professor and researcher named Carol Dweck. And then many other people have studied it in a lot of different forms, and there's a huge amount of research about it. And the bottom line is this, that it does not matter where we're from. What matters is, interestingly enough, how we look at things. So am I great at something? Am I great at something? Now, when people say I am the best at something, we think that, oh my gosh, they are confident. Well, truly, if someone truly thinks they are the best at something, this is interesting. Do you think that they have growth mindset or fixed mindset? If someone truly thinks that they are like the best at something, do you think that they have growth? Okay, so yes, they have fixed mindset. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you a little, something very interesting. Growth mindset and fixed mindset. Growth mindset is our ability to say, I am great at something and I'm going to continue to learn. So that was a little bit of a trick question. So I'm great at this, and I'm learning every day. And how we build our brand is very much related to this, because if you are building your authentic brand of who you are and truly open to inputs and feedback and figuring out where exactly you are, then you will continue to evolve. If you think like, you know what, I'm there, I am who I want to be, I'm there, we have fixed mindset. And another name for fixed mindset is CEO disease. And CEO disease is basically like, I know everything and I'm doing what I know. And so as we go into the rest of this and being mindful, I want you to think about your mindset. What is your mindset telling you? And you know, I asked a colleague, someone I was starting to coach. I said, "Who helped you? Who helped you get to where you are?" And he turned around and he said, "No one helped me. No one helped me. I do everything myself. I've gotten where I am today because of who I am and what I'm about." And I thought, oh, that's so interesting. I can look at that and see, what does he have? He has fixed mindset, growth mindset. Immediately it was like, he has fixed mindset. How is this going to work out? Because in order to coach someone, they have to be open. And when we're open, it's us taking a mirror, it's us taking a look and saying, wait, what am I doing that is hurting me? What am I doing that isn't serving me? So I am hopeful that all of you guys, you're here. So that's the first step, and that you're going into this with a growth mindset. And so the other thing is that why I asked you to turn off all your stuff is that as we get into branding, if we do not know how to manage our minds, everything else will manage our lives for us. So I am curious. What is the first thing you guys do when you wake up? What is the first thing that you do when you wake up? I'm so curious. Do you tell me, what do you do? What do you do? Check your email. Okay. Shelby, no. Okay, be the cats. All right. Focus on gratitude. That I love, love, love. Okay. Here goes, guys. Are you ready for something amazing? Get centered. I'm curious who wrote that page. How do you get centered? How do you get centered? I don't know if you can unmute or just write it down. Okay. All right. I want everyone to do this with me. I want everyone to do this with me because this is going to set us up. I want you to close your eyes again. Close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to put yourself into tomorrow morning. And the alarm goes off. And I want you to see yourself. The alarm goes off and your hand starts to reach for your phone. And then you're like, no, 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 no. And then I want you to take a moment and think about what you are grateful for. And I want right now for you to think about what you are grateful for right now that happened to you in the last 24 hours. What are 3 things specifically that have happened to you in the last 24 hours that you are grateful for? And when you bring that in, I now want you to think about your brand, who you are. We'll talk more about that. I just want you to think about who you are authentically, who you know you are. Who are you? Think about that and how that's going to show up. And then I want you to just breathe. And I want you to say out loud, because I think you're all on mute. And if you're not, you get to say it out loud. I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. Now I want you to open your eyes. And I want you to think about what we just did is setting the tone for everything that is happening today. You see, if we start out by looking at our emails and looking at our texts and everything else, we're not being our brand. We are letting people determine how we are and who we are. And so I want you to think about, what outcome do you want? Why do you want this? What actions are you going to take? And how are you going to measure how successful your brand is? Your outcome, your why, your actions, and how you are going to measure. So really thinking about, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? And maybe even jotting down right now, what is it that you really want to accomplish in your career or in your life that you have not? And why is that so important to you? And then let's talk about the actions and let's talk about how you will measure them. And please, please stop me if you have any questions, as I said, okay? All right. So then I want you to think about, all right, what do we do? How are we going into the day? How are we going into the day? And how do I handle situations? I want you to look at our state, our story, our strategy, our state of mind. What is your physical and emotional state? How are you setting yourself up? How are you grounding yourself? If you're looking at your emails, looking at this, what you're doing is letting everything in. How we go about, how we have our state of mind is how we will make up stories in our head about how we read something. So I'm curious if any of you received an email in the last week or 2 weeks where you were offended or thought that someone was saying something or didn't include you, or they said something that you're like, are they upset with me? Would you write in the chat yes or no? Have you received something in the last few weeks? Okay, yes. All right, so now my curiosity for you is, when you have received that, what is your strategy? How did you behave next? Were you excited and ready to face the day? Were you excited to talk to that person? Were you excited that, okay, ready to go? Yes or no? If you felt like you were affected by someone, were you excited? No. You see, because if I let my state if I let other things affect my state, the story in my head changes and my strategy changes. You see, so we have the ability every single day. This is a major thing. I really want everyone to absorb this, as much as possible, because I see this every day. And of course, we all deal with this. Like I challenge, every day I'm challenged with things coming in. And so the thing is that these types of things, if we're not aware of our state, story, strategy, our brand is affected. So now let's look at these roadblocks as we start getting into our brand. Okay, are we good? Everyone great? Yes? All right, perfect. So now let's move on. In your handout, you are on page number 2. If you didn't get it, please, we'll post it one more time. There you go. You can get into the handout. This is page number 2. Let's talk about this ladder of inference. We could spend hours on all of this, you guys. So I'm just talking a little bit about the psychology of building a brand and why it's so important, and consistency. And here's the thing. You all know this. This is not rocket science. This is like really buckling down on what it means to you and your life. And people you mentor and people who you're helping grow as well. So the first thing is that when you look at how we make impressions and what we do, every single day we are going up a ladder, meaning something happens and we make a decision based on what we see. So I'm curious, what is something that has happened to you or has happened in a group, whether it's on Zoom or face-to-face in the last week or two, where you're like, oh, you're now going to make a decision to not include them or include them, or to hire someone or to not hire someone. Anyone want to share anything either in the chat or out loud? Yes, are you with me? Everyone knows what I'm saying, even though you're not like sharing?
So
okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead. And then Jean, thank you for that. The question isn't clear. I'm going to rephrase it. So go ahead, whoever unmuted. Jenna.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna say, I have a few instances, I think, but I wasn't quite sure on the question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's say you're sitting in a face-to-face meeting. Someone rolls their eyes. What happens to you? Or how about this? You're in a Zoom meeting. You're talking to someone and you can see their eyes moving across the screen, knowing that they're not in the meeting. They are fully looking at their email. Okay, Jade, don't tell anyone that sometimes is me. And then she reminds me, and then I say, wait, I'm not being present. Gotta get present. Okay, did that clarify the question? So the question is, has something happened to you where that has happened and you have made a decision based on the other person's action? Yes? Okay, so here's the thing with this, is that what happens is that we're not aware of this. We are going up a ladder. We're going up a ladder, and ultimately we are making decisions based on this. So it could be a great thing. Someone reaches out to you and they say, hey, how are you? What's going on? and you immediately make a decision. I like this person. I'm going to do business with them. John, has that happened to you? I'm curious to know, because you wrote no, that has not happened to you, Nancy, not recently. Okay. So go ahead. Sorry.
But no, I was just gonna say, I mean, yesterday, for example, I got a note from a colleague asking me to contact another colleague who the first colleague couldn't contact directly, or was not being, the second colleague wasn't responding to him. So fortunately I had his personal phone number, so I called him, and then we worked through the issue and got it resolved very quickly. So just a matter of being collaborative.
Yeah, exactly. So that is a great example. So what happened, you know, if you analyze what happened with the other person and they weren't getting a response, and John, thank you for sharing that. You know, really what happens is that if the other person hasn't built the relationship, the person gets the email, well, they go up a ladder. And then ultimately what happens is that, well, I'm not going to respond because, you know, I'll deal with it later. Now you have a relationship with the person, John. There's no ladder. The fact is that they went up the ladder, and the ladder is good. They make assumptions based on the ladder. And so what happens is this is going on every single day. What I want you to realize is that when we make an impression on people, that they go up a ladder, they bring in old information, they bring in new information, they are constantly filtering, and they're constantly intaking and looking at impressions and then saying, is this consistent? Is this consistent? And so while we are looking at that, I want you, this is on page number 3 of your handout, that every single day, and how we are building our brand is that there is a cycle. This is not just like, oh, well, this is an esoteric thing on building your brand. The cycle is this. We have self-awareness. And part of that self-awareness is to know that people go up a ladder, that people are looking for consistency. And what are they looking at? And what are we looking at? Because we're doing the same thing. And it's not about judgment. It's about a lot of information coming in and deciding how much of an investment we're making in people, how much we're not. Just like John, your example is perfect. What investment am I making in someone because of their brand, because of how I see them? Like, how many times have you gone to Target over Walmart? You know, what's the brand? What's the difference? How many times do you go to Dillard's over Neiman Marcus? Not even talking about a price differentiation. That's just a piece of it. The bigger piece is, what brand do I like more? And it has to do with perceived value, which takes us back to the beginning. So the first thing is our self-awareness. Then I have to say, I'm going to develop and plan it. Then I have to look at my consistency, and then I have to look at how am I communicating that every single day. I want to say this as you go into this, that every single person has a brand, and we have to be self-aware of our brand. We have to take time to develop it. We have to be consistent, and we have to communicate it, because otherwise, if we don't define our brand, other people will. And so when you look at these brands, what do you know about these brands? What are some of the things that come up for you with these brands? What are some of the words? How would you describe as an overall these brands?
One word that comes to me is just consistency. You always know what you're going to get.
Yes, 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 yes. Consistency, enduring. Thank you, Nancy. Well-known, successful. Okay, so here's the thing. How many of you have ever put on a Band-Aid that isn't Band-Aid brand? Okay. You know, here, Band-Aid is not, it's a brand name, but we call it by what it is. In many parts of the country, there's a Coca-Cola is any type of soft drink. Starbucks is any type of coffee that we're going to a place to get coffee. There's so much that we don't even realize. Ketchup, it's a brand. It's called tomato sauce. You know, I'm from South Africa. We did not know ketchup. So there are so many things that that we look at. And here's my challenge to you. If you don't wake up in the morning and know what your brand is, other people are assigning you a brand. And not only that, it may not be what you want. Take a look at this.
Okay, the presentation's tomorrow, so let's make sure we all know our usual responsibilities. Jeff, you keep feeding me old information. Dean, I need you to continue not living up to your resume. Sue, you're in charge of waffling.
Are you sure?
Jerome, you'll talk a big game, then do nothing.
Let's do it.
Rick, can you fold under pressure for me?
Like a lawn chair.
And Ted, you just keep thinking everyone's out to get you.
They are.
Okay, so this is, this is so important. This is so important. People say, well, whatever, but it is so important. And really what we need to know is that within 7 seconds of being with people, whether we realize it or not, they are making 11 impressions. This is a study that was done by NYU. You don't have to write these down, and if you want them, I'll send them to you. But take a look at this list. Take a look at these 11 impressions, or take a screenshot if you want. That we're making impressions all the time, and ultimately, from these impressions, people are deciding one of three things. I'm going to turn the screen if that's okay. People are deciding one of three things. They're deciding if they like you, they buy you, they trust you, or if they're indifferent. And so when you're looking at this, I just want you to ask yourself some questions. How are you known? How would you like to be known? How do you ultimately want others to feel when they are with you? Because that is ultimately what is going to stick with people. What behaviors are you exhibiting consistently, and do they support your brand? And what are you doing that are not supporting your brand? So these are questions that I want you to continue to ask yourself. And as we look at this, I look at this framework, and by the way, this is on page number 4. And we look at this framework of this house, and I look at this and I say, okay, so, what is your brand? It's made up of so many different things. And the one thing I want you to look at that's on the handout that is not on here is the foundation. And the foundation of everything is our mindset. The foundation are our values. The foundation is truly our core being. And if we don't know what that is, how can we build things on it? So when you look at this, the personal presence, your social and emotional competence, political astuteness, professional competence, go through them. We're not going to go through them today because I want to keep going. But I want you to go through those questions and ask yourself, what is it that I want? What is the outcome that I want? How do I want people to know me? How do I want them to feel? And all of these pieces are a piece of our brand. All of these pieces are a piece of our brand. And ultimately, it is where we are today and where we are trying to go. And it's being in any group. Sometimes people say, well, or they'll say about other people, they're really great with the higher ups, but they're terrible with their people. Or they're terrible with their people and they don't know how to manage around them. And so I want you to think about that if you are authentically you, then it doesn't matter who you're with. And truly, it doesn't matter who you're with, whether personal or professional. You are yourself. And these pieces all play into it, even though we show up differently in certain circumstances and another versus others. So I'm curious, as we look at this framework, what questions you have. And as you're looking at the handout, what questions, if you have any questions about what is underneath. Any questions or comments, thoughts about this? Do you think about this? Let's go back to, I know my brand. Do you think about all these factors on a daily basis, on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being absolutely, 0 being, no, I really don't. And I always say 10 is, there's never the max, there's always more. But if you'd write in the chat, how much do you actually think about these things versus going through your day? Okay. Thank you. So what I want to do is I want us to spend the rest of our time really focusing on, okay, so I've got this. Now, let me build my plan. How do I build my plan? This is all great knowledge. How do I build my plan? Well, first of all, I want you to know your outcome. And your outcome may be overall for your life. Your outcome may be for the next 3 months. Your outcome may be for the next 6 months. Your outcome may be, I want to look bigger. I want everyone to know who I am, right? This is what I want in my career. And this is the brand who I am and who I know will support that. So I want you just to take a moment, and this I do want to do together. I want you to take a moment to just say, am I at that place? Have I thought about this? What is it? What is it? What is it? So for me, I'll just give you a little, when people say, what is my brand? I say, I am really my brand, and it's my everyday aspirational, what I am living for to do every day. And that is to be a bridge between where we are today and growing to really live our greatest potential. So that to me is my brand. That's what I do. That's what I focus on. If I'm doing things that don't serve that, then I know that I'm not living my brand. So I want you to become really, really clear. And if you feel comfortable, I want you to write it in the chat. I want you to write it in the chat. Put it out. Put it out into the world. Put it out into the world. So once we look at that, then we have to say, well, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? And so we're going to talk about something for just a minute. And I'm actually going to send this video to you because I don't want to take our time in watching it. In fact, Jade, would you do me the very biggest favor? And that is put the link to this video, Johari Window video for everyone. So I'm going to talk about it briefly. It is a tool that I use. It's not, I want you to watch it. I love it as a tool because basically it was written by 2 psychologists, and it really gets into this area of how I'm seen versus how others really, how I see myself, how others see me, and if anything is in my blind area. And so I want you to like, this is the foundation of knowing my brand, is that I have to know where I am. So if I think about myself being a bridge, well, I start at one place and I go to another place. So really, I want you to think about, here's my goal. And then I have to figure out, where are my gaps? Where are my gaps? And what do I know? And what don't I know? And how does this play in? So when you watch the Johari window, this will help you. And then you have a couple of pages to work through it. Here is a suggestion for you, and you may want to write this down. This is also on page number 6 at the bottom. Pick 3 to 5 people who you completely respect, who you believe that they have your best interest at heart, and go to them and say, this is my goal. This is my brand. This is what I'm trying to achieve. And I am curious, if I see myself this way, do you see me this way? And that is my open area. And I would really like to know from you, what do you see that I'm doing, that is not serving me, that is actually against what I'm trying to accomplish? And then listen. And then don't have any excuses, just say thank you. And that is truly, and I think no matter where we are in our lives, I think it is the most incredible thing to get that feedback, that growth mindset, to really becoming our best selves. And it is how we live our brand. Are there any questions about that? Okay, so I want to move on from that, and I want to get into page number 7, and page number 7, 8, and 9 in your handout are truly of the tool to take all of this and say, well, now what do I do? So now I asked you to write your outcome, and what you're going to do is you're going to write that in the middle of this page. What is your brand? And then I want you to start thinking about the behaviors, because ultimately Our consistent behaviors are what make our brand. Our consistent behaviors are what make our brand. If you are looking to go to a store or looking to go to a restaurant, you are looking for consistency, because day in and day out, if it's not consistent, you're not going. You're just not going to go. So I'm curious to know what I want you to write in the chat. I want you to write your favorite brand, no matter what it is, and why you like it so much. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super consistent, 1 being not consistent, is it consistent? So what's your favorite brand? Why? And on a scale of 1 to 10, consistent, 10 being most consistent. So take a minute if you would. And if someone wants to share out loud, I'd love to hear. Yum. I love Bronx. Okay. Perfect. 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 Okay. So now I want you to just think about the brands you're writing down, and I want you to think about when you say it's always consistent, right? Perfect. I love that. Thank you, Nancy. Publix, I love it. Okay, good, good, good. So now what I want you to think about are the behaviors that they exhibit. And then take that and think about yourself. And in your workbook, in the worksheets, I'm going to go back to this quote because this was on Adam Grant posted this and I loved it. I want us to just think about something very, very important. I'd like you to write in the chat, what behaviors do people exhibit, specific behaviors that they exhibit, people, not companies, people, that you look at them and you're like, I love that. That makes me feel good. That makes me trust them. That makes me trust them. They have influence because of that. For me, it's when people say they're going to get something to me at a specific time, they do it. That to me is like a very specific behavior. If they tell me it's going to be here by 9 o'clock and it's here at 10 o'clock, I've already decided that they're always going to be late. I mean, that's just what happens to me. So I want you, okay, empathy. I want to know, Evan, what does that look like? Can you explain it a little more? I want to know creative ideas. Jean, what does that look like? Reliability. Jenna, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? Reliability. What does it mean?
I think like you said, it's just consistency and knowing that someone is going to do what they say they're going to do. And at the end of the day, to me, that's really what I'm looking for, building trust with someone and being able to influence them. Okay, awesome, awesome. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. Evan, empathy, tell me what that means. I don't know if he's on, what does empathy mean to you guys? What does it mean to you?
That you're putting yourself in the other person's situation, that you're listening and understanding their point of view at that time and place.
Okay, so can you tell me more about that? Like, what does that, tell me what that sounds like or looks like when you talk to that person.
There's not a judgmental tone or look. There's a look of trying to understand.
Okay, okay.
Whether or not they agree or disagree, they're working to understand.
Okay.
Right. A lot of that goes for me is just not not afraid to care, right? So when you're talking to someone, they're actually listening to you.
Yeah.
And they're showing not only empathy through listening, but they're you know, with how they look at their facial expression.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Evan. What I want you to look at, that was Jean, right? Who said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And you asked me about creative ideas.
Yes.
When someone offers an idea that may or may not match exactly what you asked, but brings value to the discussion or the project.
Yeah.
That immediately tells me they have paid attention.
Yes.
And they are being thoughtful. They are thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it's not always that it's the best idea. It just means they really listened and expanded.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And thank you for explaining more of it. I want you guys to think about this when you start building your brand and thinking about your behaviors. What behaviors are important to you? And start really getting down to, and even asking your mentors and asking the people you do the Johari window with, or your teams, or anyone, or your customers, what builds trust for you? What doesn't? Because those behaviors, someone said to me the other day, how do you, what did they ask me? How do you hire someone? Have you hired only, like, what does professionalism mean to you? And how did you feel? How did I feel about that? And I said, it's a word. There are so many behaviors that back that up. And so we have to look at the behaviors, the consistency of the behaviors. Now, I want to share just a quick story with you. Early in my career, Bronwyn, Bronwyn and I worked with someone, and she was a super moody person. And it was neither one of us, but it was someone else. And I said, I will never be like her. And then lo and behold, I kind of like didn't even realize that I was kind of like her. And then as a boss, I was kind of, and I wasn't necessarily moody, I just was very reactive. So like if someone didn't do something perfectly, I would react. Wouldn't respond, I would react. Until one day I sat with my team and did this Johari window, and they said to me, Kim, I think you see yourself as this leader, and you want to be this leader so badly. That's like, you want a place that people love to come to work, and you want people to grow. And yet when something isn't done perfectly, your behavior is so reactive. And in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to learn. I have to learn. I am relying on old behaviors, not using my mind. That's why I said to you, it is taking a breath and being mindful of how you are so that you don't exhibit old behaviors. Because what I realized is that my old behaviors were really standing in the way of my brand, of who I was as a leader. And in that moment, I practiced over and over and over again that when something didn't go my way, how I would respond. And today, I don't even really think about it. And that's what I want you to also think about with habits. When we do something over and over and over again, it becomes a habit. Well, behavior is like that. And our brand is like that consistency. So this page and realizing the behaviors that are going to hurt you or the behaviors that help you will ultimately let you then decide how to build your brand. And this page on page number 9 takes you through the entire process of building your brand, of looking at these things and saying, all right, let me take the time to plan this out. I'm now aware of where I am. I'm aware of where I want to go. And now I'm going to take the time to actually plan and develop it. And then I'm going to boot camp myself and drill every single day with certain behaviors, even if it's one behavior that you pick every 3 months, and you're going to practice and practice and practice it to either stop it or start it so that it builds who you are and your brand. As we close up, are there any questions about this? I tried to make it like super, super detailed so that you can walk through it.
It's been awesome.
Okay.
It's so good.
Okay, good. So here's the thing that I want to say with this. And you say, well, why didn't we start all on this? Well, here's the deal. If we started all on this, we're not getting to the holistic, authentic brand. We're just talking about skills. And you know what? Skills are skills. If they don't sit in me, if they're not truly me, and if I don't teach myself how to truly bring them into my entire being and work with my mind and change my mind, and we know through the science of epigenetics that we can change our genes, that our IQ is not fixed. that we can change and grow our emotional intelligence. And because we know this, we know that we can build onto all of this, and we can look at our brand, we can say, what is our gap? And what is going to stand in the way? And I just want to end with this, that when we look at our roadblocks, our biggest roadblock is ourselves. Our biggest roadblock is there's a cognitive distortion called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. And automatic negative thoughts affect us. And on page number 11, you've got something all about it. And I'll send you also, there's a blog all about ANTS that we wrote a couple of months ago that's really fascinating about where it came from. And the bottom line is that it comes down to the confidence that we have in living our brand. And this is something that can really hurt us. So when we look at all this, that's why we start with the mind and we end with the mind, and everything else and the behaviors in between just build and build and build our confidence. And so it's really taking this and looking at challenging them and saying to myself, how am I going to think about things? How am I going to say things? How am I going to do things so that I can truly live my brand and really know that my greatest potential is inside of me? And that sometimes I have to get a little uncomfortable and do things a little bit different and be a little bit different, but truly be myself to live my brand. And so with that, I want you just to think about what can you start, what can you stop, and what can you continue. So I want you to write one thing down. And I encourage everyone to take the time to map out your brand, to go through your Johari window with people, and to really think about, no matter where we are in our career, where do we want to be? And as I said, I've been doing this for 30 years and we still do this. I do this every year because I think it is so critically important. Okay, so.
Yay. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. I know I didn't leave a lot of time for Q&A. I'm happy to stay on if you guys want to, but I know, Shelby, you wanted to end with some giveaways and then whatever else. So thank you. And Jean, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Kim. And yeah, as Kim noted, and I'm sorry I didn't say it on the forefront, I put it in the chat, but yeah, we are going to be giving away 3 of Kim's books. Thank you, Kim. And she is obviously fantastic and has some fantastic reading material associated with some of the things that she talked about. So we are going to be giving those away. So I will actually, I have them, so I can just go ahead and announce them. And if the person has already left, then I'll be coordinating after. So if I call your name that you won, I'll be coordinating with you, sending you an email so I can get your address and send them directly to you. So first and foremost, one of our winners will be Therese. So thank you. Yay. Appreciate you. Because we're going more off of the interactiveness. The more interactive, the more built in you were, the more you got to the top of the list. So awesome, Therese. Also, going to be giving away to Jeffrey Brewster. So Jeffrey, woo! So congrats. And last but not least, Jean Culver. So congratulations, Jean. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I'll be reaching out after this meeting. And again, we will have all of this material. It's recorded. We have that, and we'll be sending it out to all of the registrants as well. So thanks all. Thank you for attending. And yeah, again, appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day. If there's any closing. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Kim.
Thank you. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. So
thank you all.
Thanks, guys.